All right, we got everyone. Great. So we'll now.
It's 20 minutes after 10 p.m.
Deal with recommendations and actions from today's park board committee meeting and other items on the agenda. So again, we're just going to do a roll call real quick, just to make sure we've got a head count, so to speak. All right. So starting with.
Commissioner Look. Here. Commissioner Blythe. Commissioner Sharma. Commissioner Barnes. Here. Commissioner Jasper.
Here.
Commissioner Cooper.
Present.
Commissioner David Nova. Present.
Excellent. All right. So minutes 1 are the regular board meetings. We have a mover.
Move after.
The seconder. Any changes? Anybody see anything that needs to be changed from this? No? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried unanimously. And the next item is the fabulous chair's report with pictures and everything. I got to note it down on that one. Okay, so we'll start with the First Nations carvings. 2 First Nations carvings were installed February 16th at Oppenheimer Park. Head carvers Chief Henry Robertson and Haisla Nation, excuse me, thank you, Commissioner Sharma, Wesna Nahani, with Squamish Nation carved logs recovered from Stanley Park after the 2006 windstorm. The Oppenheimer Park Commemorative Task Force partnered with the Constant Arts Society and Vancouver Moving Theatre, part of the City Festival, to create and install the carvings. Commissioner Cooper represented the park board at the event. That area is looking good out in the rain.
It was pouring.
You need that hat.
I couldn't swell the good.
That's a gorgeous piece, eh?
Well, there's two pieces. There's one on both sides of the path, and they face west, so that they're welcoming the day. Beautiful. I would encourage
Very
everybody to
striking.
look at it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, next up, Trout Lake Community Center. Yay! The 21.
It's all my universe.
There you go. 21.2 million Trout Lake Community Center officially opened on February the 18th. The event included speeches with myself, representing the park board, and an afternoon of activities, barbecue, and cake. The center offers more than 200 programs and is built to high environmental standards. Commissioners Aaron Jasper, John Cooper, Melissa Dijanova, and Nikki Sharma attended the event. That was fun.
Okay, Trevor, I didn't miss too much.
Yep. Okay. Next on to where Commissioner Loeb was, the International Mother Tongue Day. February the 21st was International Mother Language Day. The objective is to promote linguistic diversity and multilingual education, and to develop fuller awareness of linguistic and cultural traditions based on understanding, tolerance, and dialogue. To celebrate the day, various activities took place at the Roundhouse Community Arts and Recreation Center on February the 18th, and Commissioner Trevor Lowe represented the park board. Okay, last but not least, the electric vehicle charging stations. At a news conference on February the 22nd, the City of Vancouver launched an $800,000 pilot project bringing electric vehicle charging stations to a variety of locations, including Cold Harbor Community Center. The park board already has charging stations at Sunset, Creekside Community Center, Van Dusen Botanical Garden, and Evans Service Yard. I was the master of ceremonies, and I like to look at pictures of myself, so I'm just not going to go there. And that is the chair's report. Thank you. We now have the general manager's report. Mr. Bromley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have at tomorrow's council, we have 2 very important items. One is the operating budget will be presented, and there will be public consultation tomorrow. There will also be a special council meeting on Wednesday in the evening, should it be necessary, at 6 p.m. to also listen to delegates speak to the operating budget for 2012. The second item is the establishment of an arts and culture advisory committee. And when the committee is approved, it will need a liaison commissioner, so the board can start thinking about that role. And Rich Newworth will be doing a presentation on that in 2012. That's my report.
Okay, I noted that Commissioner Cooper popped his hand up very quickly there. All right, so thank you, Ms. Brown. The next item is today's report, of the Park Board Committee. So we need a motion to adopt the committee's recommendations. Commissioner Logue and a seconder. Commissioner Blythe. And is that, oh, that's not. Sorry? Yeah. We have a question?
What are the recommendations?
That we approve what we just went through at the committee level.
Well, there was a.
With the
I just
amendment.
want to make sure.
With the
There's an
amendment.
amendment,
Correct.
and then the main.
And the
budget
power
vote, is that right?
No. And the first item on your agenda.
There's the
Sorry, Nicole Ludwig, City Clerk's Office.
Sorry.
The report of the committee are the two items that were on the committee agenda. So you have the one item with the
Power B?
power to be,
Power to be.
and then you had your operating budget.
Yes, with the amendment.
Yes.
Yes.
As the committee approved it.
Yes.
Yes.
We approved.
As amended.
We approved the amendment, we didn't vote on the
Yes.
budget.
We did
When did we vote?
at the same time. The amendment was essentially a strike and replace
Mhm.
budget initiatives, not the actual.
The city clerk, I'll let the city clerk.
It was stated within the budget, we voted for the whole package, the
I
package.
thought I was
The
voting on
amended,
an amendment.
no, the amended package. Like, we amended the budget so that it wasn't
Then
in
I misunderstood.
Okay, so when Commissioner Jasper moved the amendment, it essentially struck and replaced the first recommendation. Am I being clear here?
Yeah, I think
And-
you're being
yeah.
clear, but it just wasn't
Yeah.
clear to me when it happened. I thought there was, we were voting on the amendment, but then I thought there would be a separate vote on the actual.
And
Recommendation.
procedurally, yes, you should have a second vote on the main motion, but in this case, the amendment becomes the main motion.
Okay.
They sort of explained that as we were going through.
I'm just, sorry.
Madam Chair, if I
So-
could
Yes.
just as we're,
It was actually.
two things,
I was there.
Nicole and I talked about having some training on procedural. We're gonna do a collective group procedural training session so that we can move smoothly. And if there are any questions during the procedure, stop the proceedings and ask for clarification. Let's make sure that everyone's comfortable before we move forward. That'd be my advice.
Okay. All right. So then, we're looking at two separate, we're just basically
just
looking at one. Okay, so then we will, again, if the board approve the recommendations of the Park Board Committee. So we will take a vote. And is that Commissioner Jasper? No. So all in favor? Okay, 4. Opposed? Oh. Okay. So we have all in favor, we have 4, and we've got opposed.
No worries.
Okay, all in favor. So it passes unanimously. My hand's frozen. Thank you. All right, so we will now move on to new business. And we have one motion that has been moved by Commissioner Blythe and requires a seconder. So it's been so moved by Commissioner Blythe, seconded by Commissioner Lowe. And Commissioner Blythe, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Sure. I've been speaking to members of the community, just regarding some contributions to Vancouver, and Joe Hall, and some family members, and I've worked with Jim on different initiatives in the past, and, he's been a mentor to me and many people in the city for a long time. I can read the motion because that's really what the reasons why I'm bringing this motion forward in the first place. I've spoken to Melissa and Nick and everybody about this motion. So, would you like me to read the motion, or have you read the motion? Okay.
I think it's good.
All right. Whereas the Park Board recognizes individuals who have made substantial contributions to the livability of the city of Vancouver. Jim Green has made significant contributions to the city of Vancouver. He has continued to advocate for urban wellness, environmental issues, and the greening of Vancouver. 4. Jim Green, as a member of the Downtown Eastside Residents Association, was successful in achieving 600 units of social housing, 2 of them co-ops, preventing the eviction of downtown Eastside residents during Expo 86, changing the tenant law to cover SRO residential units around the province, numerous government programs focused on the downtown Eastside community. Jim Green worked to develop Blade Runners, an innovative employment program focused on youth. Four Corners Bank, which is now Pigeon Park, the first bank for low-income residents in the downtown Eastside, which I see firsthand, helping people every day. Numerous innovative community development projects, such as the dental clinic for the downtown Eastside residents and employment program for low-income people at GM Place. Jim Green has actively participated in the planning of Crab Park, Portside, and Hastings Park. Therefore, be it resolved that the board directs staff to work with Jim Green and his family and friends, I didn't put friends, but I'm putting in to develop an outdoor space that recognizes and tells the story of Jim's tremendous contribution to the city. So,
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Blair.
Do you need a seconder for that?
We have it on. Second. Thank you. So we can now, we discuss the motion. Speak to the motion, absolutely. Commissioner Jasper, speak to the motion.
No, sir, Madam Chair, I was
Sorry.
asking if Commissioner Blythe wanted us to speak to the
To your own motion? Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I sort of spoke to it a little bit beforehand. But mainly, obviously, we, like it says in the motion, that we recognize people who've made a substantial contribution. And, Jim Green over the years, I mean, anyone I talk to about this motion, be it from, my neighbor to, his friend, I mean, this is sort of a no-brainer. He's done so much for the city, and he's a true activist. I wrote a letter today, just basically stating, you're an inspiration to people like me, down to earth people who are activists and, one of a kind politician who really actually works with people to get things done. And, there's not enough of those kinds of politicians, and he's one of them. I just think that to inspire other people, we need to recognize the people who have made a huge contribution. So that's why I'm putting this motion forward, and I think, mostly people, well, everyone here probably agrees with it, so, but I'd like to hear from you. Okay, so,
Sorry, I see Commissioner, yes, Commissioner DiGenova.
Commissioner Jasper Alexander, for.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
I have a question to you, Madam Chair, to staff. Just to refresh my memory in terms of process and how we deal with something like this. My understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that if we're looking at some element or space, does it require, like we're not naming a park, we don't go down that road, then we don't need to go through a naming committee and sort of those suits. If we decide that the route we want to go is the naming of or renaming of a park, then there are these naming committees, other protocols that we have to follow. I'm just wondering if staff can just do my interpretation is correct in the process here.
Yes, you are correct. If we are naming a park, there is a citizen committee, so a park would go through and involve the citizen-based committee. If we are naming a facility like a center or a plaza, then this board can make that decision. But you're right, so
Okay.
next steps would involve either a citizen committee or this board making the decision on what facility.
Thank you.
Question to Commissioner Blake, through the chair.
Yes.
First of all, I have to say that I hope that we could name a park after Jim Green. And if it is going to, and then I have a follow-up to that question through Madam Chair to staff. If we did go to a naming committee for a park, and as you said, that would be decided by a citizens committee, and a park could be named after Jim Green, could we then go back to looking at a public space or an outdoor space instead of
seeing none, we have speakers to the motion. Two speakers. We have Jamie Lee Hamilton.
Madam Chair.
Madam
Oh,
Chair,
sorry.
can we speak to the motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay.
Oh, sorry, that was questions, I was wondering if we'll speak.
Point of order, it's what
Well, I thought we had-
we would speak to it after the
After,
delegates.
after the delegates? Oh, absolutely.
I just wanted to make sure with the new process that we're.
Yeah, this part stays the same, so when the
Fantastic.
delegates come up and
Great.
speak, and then everybody will have an opportunity to speak to the motion. All right? So we have Jamie Lee Hamilton coming up to speak, and we also have Angela Hall, and we will start with Jamie Lee.
Thank you. We're not using the mics now?
If you
Well,
want.
it's not working too well today. And Angela Hall, if we could have you come up, please, as well, and it's not on the speaker's
Oh,
list. We
I
actually
have
just, no, we, not that I have, unless we have a late.
I was added to the
Is
speakers
there late?
before the
Okay.
meeting by Beringer.
Oh, okay.
Just this way.
Oh, no apologies. Yes, absolutely. It's Ray Tallman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, Chairperson Barnes, Park Commissioner. When I saw this motion, and while I'd like further clarification on exactly what it is. Usually when there's a process involved, it usually comes up through the community, and I certainly want a community to be consulted on anything significant, especially if it's in a certain neighborhood. So, and I remember if it is a park, that there is policy around that, and that policy would need to come forward. So I'm just unclear what exactly this motion is saying. Is there going to be some discussion that goes back into the community? What is it that you actually would like to name after him? Like, for instance, I think a natural spot to maybe name after him might be the outdoor plaza at Woodward's. That would seem to be an ideal tie-in. But in regard to naming Hastings Park, Jim Green Park, I don't think that would be suitable, because there's not a lot of connection to Hastings Park. So I guess as the motion stands, I'm going to have to vote against it only on the basis that it's not clear what the commissioner, the vice chair, is actually proposing to bring forward. But I think if you could make that decision of what it is that you would like to see happen for Mr. Green, who, as you say, has had significant contributions to the city. And then I think community neighborhoods could get behind that. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Mr. Shaw, please go ahead. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, councilors, for the opportunity to speak. It's a great honor to be here to speak in support of this motion. I commend you for bringing this forward. I work right now at SFU Woodwards in the cultural unit and advance the Office of Community Engagement. We're running a number of education programs, public talks and discussions, but I had the great honor of meeting Jim Green back in 1998 when we were establishing the program Love Humanities 101, which was a liberal arts program for downtown side residents who got to UBC to take courses. And at the time, both at UBC and out in the community, there wasn't a lot of support, a lot of concern around a program like that. And we were able to meet with Jim, and Jim showed an incredible generosity in connecting us up with so many people in the community, people at Canada Day, many other people, and that Humanities 101 program right now has been running 12 or 13 years. When we look back at all the things that were set in motion, Jim coming here, leaving as a drafted to the Vietnam War, coming to Vancouver, and the immense contributions he did to the city. He raised his family while working as a cabbie, working as a longshoreman. He finished his anthropology degree at UBC, his master's, and did his PhD coursework, but didn't finish his dissertation. And I had an amazing time in the late 90s sitting out in the Museum of Anthropology, a class that I used to teach with Michael Ames, and the people who were taking Humanities 101 class actually came and were actually half of that third-year anthropology class. And this amazing interaction between undergraduate students and actual downtown Eastside residents being able to communicate. I can remember going to the Vancouver Opera in 1998 with our class of residents. So we went to see Tosca, and before we went, a couple days before, James Wright from Vancouver Opera came and talked about the opera. Our students knew more about that opera than most of the people who went that night. But in Tosca, there's a famous scene where Scarpia, the police chief, is harassing Tosca, and Tosca picks up a penknife and stabs him in the back. And it's this amazing liberatory moment, but our students were giving a standing ovation in the middle of the opera. But it has been such a joy and a pleasure to have learned from Jim, been able to work with him, and it's just he continues to be on his cell phone looking for projects to be funded. He's still working. His family's around him with generosity of friends, but the contributions that he has given to this city, he's an amazing powerhouse, a giant of a man who is irreplaceable. And we take off our political hats when these important times are happening. It's been really difficult for people in the city, but it's really important that we recognize the time, the generosity that he put into these projects, but what oftentimes isn't recognized is the generosity he showed to hundreds of university students, young people, who he mentored, the first jobs that they ever got working in community organizing. And imagine Jenny Kwan coming out of SFU and being put to work at the Downtown Eastside Residents Association. And, you know, just an amazing family of people that have gotten to know each other, and I met some of you through all of that. And, you know, I don't even know the times when I was in trouble doing community organizing, trying to get through a project, and there was always that cell phone you could call to make something happen that was good and right for the city. You know, it makes you remember why you get into public service in the first place. So thank you for bringing this forward. You have a whole community behind you and to do the right thing. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions for our speakers? No, that's it. Thank you so much. Oh, okay.
For Anne, would there be an outdoor space or a park that you would suggest being so close to Jim Green that, you know, would seem like a natural fit?
I think it would be worthwhile to speak with his family, and I've been in touch with his daughter, and I think that, you know, some time and consideration can be put into that. I think a park would be a very appropriate thing, but I think that in discussions with the family and the park board, I think we can figure out a way to make that happen, but there's no rush to do that this evening.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anne. And so if we could ask Mr. Ray Tomlin to come forward, please.
I was glad to meet this morning when I went online to the Vancouver Sun to see that the city of Vancouver had recognized Jim Green for his contribution to the city of Vancouver. It's overdue. It's unfortunate that his present circumstance has brought about the contribution that is needed to our city. Because there's good purpose that's happening and support of the motion that is on the table. I had a concern that I was going to raise, but it was addressed by Commissioner Jasper. His question and clarification from the staff. So I would keep us reading.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? No? Okay. Great. So discussion on the motion. Right, so discussion on the motion, Commissioner DeGenova and Commissioner Johnson. Oh, sorry, well, you've got more to say?
I will basically, I guess, well, no, maybe not, but I guess what I wanted to say was I just want to make sure that,
hit all your points.
Yeah, I did that. So we'll move on to Commissioner Cooper.
So I consulted with Commissioner Cooper, and I'll be speaking on behalf of him and myself. And we support a park or outdoor space named after and dedicated to Jim Green, and we'll be supporting this motion. And I just wanted to say that Jim has played a large role in making Vancouver the magnificent city it is today. And as a city councillor, a development consultant, and not-for-profit housing developer, Jim has created policy and contributed to projects that both shape and benefit our city. As a university instructor, Jim shared his philosophy on the subjects of architecture, anthropology, and humanities. He went beyond the basic subjects and taught and encouraged his students to think outside of the box and do things differently. This is one of the many attributes that makes Jim special and unique. I'm fortunate to have had the opportunity to work with Jim over the past year, and I admire that he's always been willing to tackle the most difficult issues. Perhaps they were the most unpopular issues, but in the end, they were always the issues in desperate need of attention and protected the most vulnerable people. Jim has created a legacy that won't be forgotten, and that he and his family can be very proud of. I look forward to working with the Park Board and to find a space that truly honors Jim and all of his great contributions to Vancouver.
Mr. Jasper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm enthusiastic for supporting this motion. I want to thank Commissioner White for taking the initiative to bring this forward. I want to thank all my colleagues, for recognizing the timeliness and the importance of this and throwing the support behind this. I don't know Jim as well as people like Ann and others in the community, but I feel privileged to say that I do know him, and we've had a opportunity to work with him over the years. I first met him playing pool at some event. It was almost 10 years ago, and I realized I was playing pool with a shark. Everything, there's been a lot of discussion and commentary in the papers about all of his accomplishments, but I think the one thing I don't want to repeat all that, but the one thing that I've always admired about Jim is, fail or succeed, whether it was in the political arena or as an activist, at least my perception is he was always remained an optimist, and was always looking on the horizon, and if something didn't quite work out, he always dusted himself off and picked himself up. To go through the challenges he's gone through personally, professionally, as an activist, but also as a politician, and to keep his chin up and be an optimist. That says a lot about him as a character, and I think we can look at our city and see how that has rubbed off on so many people, and people probably don't even realize it. That attitude, that spirit, that optimism of looking off on the horizon and seeing a better day and a better community, and seeing that it is worth, whether it's activists or those of us sitting around this table, to contribute to make a difference in our community. We all can really point to Jim for that influence. So again, I look forward, like Commissioner Deschanel, to participating in this process. And again, I think the sensitivity is to really talk with Jim and talk with his family and not be rushed. And what's worth doing is worth doing right. So I look forward to that opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you. Jim Green, what a man, what a life he's lived. It's so diverse, and I just want to say first of all that I wish Jim well. I think we all do. Hope that he recovers and his life continues to be everyone. But every day, dealing when I in the community that I work in, where I'm dealing with drug addicts on a daily basis, I'm often reminded of the legacy of Jim Green and the services that he has championed in the downtown side communities, so that first of all, to end the stigmatization of drug users, to give them services they need, to treat them as people who have a health matter rather than a criminal one, and that his leadership in that and in changing the dialogue about how we treat one another as people, even people who are lesser off than us, it's just been amazing. It's truly humbling, and nothing. And this is just one story that we'll end on, is that I remember during the campaign there was one candidate who was running for mayor who had a certain fascination with a lobster, and we're all at this one event. We're all at this one event, and you know, this candidate is sort of going around and heckling everybody. But Jim, who's with us all, he sits down with them and starts talking about issues, and he just found a way to connect with someone who, you know, I don't want to go on the record for this, but we all little, you know, little students up there. But Jim found a way to connect with him and sit down, and I was just so impressed with how Jim taught me that, you know, no matter who you're dealing with, you have to look at them at their human level and find a way to talk with them. And Jim will always leave that impression with me.
Wonderful. Thank you. I saw I have Commissioner Brown again.
Well, I know, I'm not gonna go on, but I just wanted to, no, I'm not gonna. I just wanted to mention that, you know, just, Joe Hall has, you know, said that he would love, you know, he'd love to be part of the leading the force to make this happen, so getting his number might be a good thing to do. Great. That would probably happen anyways, but.
I think, yeah, everything's been said. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get Jim out, and he opened Emery Barnes Park when we opened the very first time, so I'm hoping that on the 31st he'll be standing at my side and have the opportunity to have him do it again, because he is a dear friend of the family and was a Pops as well. So with that said, sounds like everybody's in favor, but we will take a vote on favor of this motion. Raise your hands. Yay. Hallelujah. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Great, so we will move on to new business inquiries, other matters. We have Commissioner DeGenova.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a notice of motion for our next meeting. I'll say the motion, and if I may say to Brenda, it's worded the same way, so just for administrative purposes. It was a motion that I had deferred and had spoken with the commissioner staff. So whereas there has recently been, sorry, I'm reading off my BlackBerry, I don't have it here. Whereas there have recently been reports and allegations that park board animals from the children's farmyard were mistreated, sold, and possibly put to death after they were adopted out, and the adopted legal agreement between the park board and at least one individual has been breached. Whereas the park board has a moral responsibility to these animals and has made a commitment to the animals and the public that these animals would be carefully placed in adopted homes where they could live out their lives in a sanctuary-like environment. Therefore, be it resolved that the park board directs staff to take immediate action and perform site visits and recheck references on all individuals and/or farms who adopted animals from the children's farmyard and present these results to the board, and that the regular visits and follow-up on all remaining animals is conducted by staff every 6 months for the remainder of all the animals' lives.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Lowe?
Two inquiries, Madam Chair, both coming to me from constituents. The first, relating to the issue of the FlexiPass, it was brought to my attention that the FlexiPass does not include, and sorry, I'm sorry, I use the term FlexiPass, and what I'm really trying to say is the Leisure Access Pass. And so my apologies, is that the Leisure Access Pass does not allow access to weight rooms at certain facilities. Am I correct in understanding that?
That's correct.
That's correct. I was wondering what the reason for that was.
So is that for that now?
Just
I think what we'll do is I think what's best practice is we take your inquiries, your right staff research, and do a written response back.
That would be fantastic.
I'm not doing this on the fly.
Go ahead.
I think I have one more.
I think Commissioner, did you know to go first?
I have an inquiry, Madam Chair, for you as staff regarding I was wondering where we were at with the status of the grant for the senior center. The grant application, I should say.
We'll report back, but just off the top of our head, I think we were waiting for March, seems to be the deadline. But I will get an update and give that to you, right?
Thank you very much.
So that's our lead situation. We'll do it.
Thank you.
Cooper?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, to staff. I think I have 11 inquiries this evening. They are a result of my work.
There's an 8-item limit on this one.
Did you see the email from Rinder?
The first one was to Park Director Bill Hardy. Mr. Hardy and I went through some parks and visited some particular areas of concern. And I'm just wondering when I might hear back on the status of some of those parks. The next question would be, there was a motion by former Commissioner Loretta Woodcock during the last term, and it was there was a motion passed regarding energy retrofit grants for the Blood Elk Conservatory. Staff was directed to look for any available grants, and I'm just wondering if any progress has been made there. The third one is I'm interested in the progress of the marketing committee, which was spearheaded by our chair, Constance Barnes, some time ago. I think it was about a year and a half ago. I'm just wondering how that's progressing. The other, as a result of my liaison work with Brockhouse, they are coming up with a very a big anniversary. It's the 100th anniversary of Brockhouse, and they have asked, they're going to have the RCMP there because the RCMP at one point were in the house. So they're going to have the red surge there, and they would like to have a donation of a tree. They'd have to do a tree planting in the summer. So they had asked me to come to Park Board and see if that could be donated. There is another concern about the north lawn at Brockhouse. Apparently they use it for croquet, and it hasn't been maintained in some time. It needs some sand. It needs to be leveled so they can actually play croquet on the lawn. Another issue which there as well, there's an elm tree which hasn't been trimmed for a while, and it's touching a new roof that they have, and rats are accessing the roof, they're accessing the building, so I think we need to look at that elm tree. Sorry, one more? Oh, there's more than one more. They also are interested in Wi-Fi capability, and I heard something at a board meeting not long ago that we were working on something city-wide, so I'm interested to know if we can help to accommodate their needs at Brockhouse. The next one is my liaison meeting at Kensington Community Center. They had asked for specific details of the process on the pottery studio, and I did speak to the other day, but I think I'd like to have more detail for them so that I can follow up. I see my question on the Burrard Civic Marina was answered. Thank you very much. I have another one from a constituent. There apparently is amendments to the marina contracts, which are quite unusual. It happened, I think, a year ago, and there's some two subrogation clauses in the contracts which staff had advised patrons that they could cross them out, and they were told that this year those clauses wouldn't be there, and apparently one of the clauses is still there. And I think what it does, it has the effect of possibly invalidating somebody's boat insurance should they have a problem because there's a subrogation to the city. And it's very unusual. Across the system, across North America, the insurance companies aren't seeing this anywhere else. So it's a potential problem to our marina patrons. On a positive note, Douglas Park was very happy with the rehabilitation of the track, and they wanted me to pass on thanks to Diane Murphy for her great work, and also I think Bill Manning was involved. So that was really great work, and they wanted me to pass that on. So that's it.
That's awesome. Oh, sorry. There you go. How many do you have on that? Okay.
Sorry.
Yes.
Did you have your own?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going with I lost track. Okay, so moving along.
I've only got one more.
And then we'll
Maybe three.
Okay. Tighten it up, folks.
All right.
Tighten it up, folks.
I can bring a list. No, my question is about two separate issues that connect, and they have to do with Nelson Park. The first is that the water fountain is not disability accessible, and the second is that the water hookup for the gardeners is blocked by the garden foliage. And so I was wondering if staff could come back about to see if it's possible to have a new water fountain that is disability accessible with a water hookup for the gardeners as well. And just would like to put that up there.
Okay, so my first is a question to staff through you, Madam Chair, regarding the issue that we had spoken about at the last meeting, regarding the rat poison in our parks, and if we had contracted out with someone which parks these were in, and how many of them there are. Should I wait for an answer, or should I go through all my questions?
I think we'll just go.
You're gonna get back right.
I think, what we want to get back is the polling.
Okay.
We're working with the city and Mr. Bradshaw, Eric Bradshaw, is with corporate facilities who actually have responsibility for the maritime museums. So we're consolidating this into a master document, and just as a follow-up as well, we need the copies to the resident, and I think unfortunately it's
And follow-up, when can we expect to know a figure on?
Bill, would you know?
Yeah, excuse me.
When would we have it?
It should be very soon. We've got a list of all the places in parks and park board facilities that have it, but we still haven't got it from some of the other facilities. And I'll talk to the city facility people. The other thing that you might just want to know is we have had staff go to every park where there's a potential to have it, and check on them and see if there's any problems with them. And to this point, we haven't found any. And I have my staff reporting back to me by Wednesday with the final on that one. But so far, we haven't found any problems with the ones that are actually in the parks. They're hidden very well and attached to the ground.
Could we have a list? Sorry, follow up. Could we have a list?
Yeah,
of
we
parks?
will get that list.
Okay, Mike.
Okay, final.
Question to staff through you, Madam Chair. I have received several emails and phone calls regarding the registration online to speak for park board meetings, that it was not up and running and people couldn't register online to speak. I was hoping that you could let me know when that would be available.
We're waiting for our programmer, who's now at City Hall, to do the work again. So at this point, we don't know. They can call in. My number and Kevin's number is posted online. So right now, the only option is to call in and register. Just like that's how it used to be. So
I'll make sure that for the next board meeting that's happening.
Thank you. And then my last inquiry through you to staff. If I wasn't on the park board, I would call myself and complain about this, because I actually, the new park on May 18th, the new park that we had just approved, and I think that was a unanimous decision, actually is in very bad shape. It's all muddy, and now that the meters are up next to it, next to the Shoppers Drug Mart at that new development, there's no way to really get from your car at the meter to the Shoppers Drug Mart, so I actually slipped. And so did the lady next to me, and it's just become sort of an area of mud. So I did want to bring that up at the meeting here. I'm hoping that we can decision.
Can I just, Madam Chair, by the way, procedures that, this is an open forum time for you to give us information. If there are some small things that are, not of urgent nature, but you want them dealt with quickly, you can email us all the time. And we can set a procedure of saying, email Julie Casanova from my system. We'll farm them out to staff, log them in, and document back, and we'll fold those into your report back on the inquiries that come at this table. So I would encourage you that if there are some small maintenance items that you'd like addressed.
Great, thank you, Mr. Bromley. I have one item that I would like brought forward just very quickly, and it's to Thomas. I would like you to bring everything, please, to the board on the basketball courts. And actually, if you could bring that history and let this board know what that history is regarding those courts and the kids' people. We'll see if we can make some changes on those hoops. It's very racist. Very racist. Okay, are we all good? No more questions, right, anybody?
I would just
all right, because I got
to commend the board on a very difficult evening of trying to manage a tough topic, but also a transition in our governance. And I think I'd like to thank Nicole and staff for the work that they did. And I think we'll get smoother, and we'll get a little procedural training and orientation course that'll make us well-oiled machine that we're all aspire to be.
It was a lot of work tonight. Everybody really, absolutely, great job. Thank you all. Go home and smell the land. Go home and eat. Because I know that's Thank you, Commissioner Genova. Thank you, Commissioner Jasper. Commissioner Cooper.
I don't think
Thanks a lot. Oh, no problem. Okay, yeah.